We're actually down more than 1%, headed to the worst week since early July. Let's bring Christian Fromhertz of Tribeca Trade Group into the conversation. And Christian, it's interesting. So if we think about what's going to happen tomorrow, or what Powell might signal, we of course have WIRP, which tells us what's already priced in relative to rate hikes. And then we have the tea leaves. What are you seeing when you put it all together?
Hey, Abigail, great to be here. Yeah, I think it's important, when we have one of these events where there's a lot of expectations for tomorrow, I think it's important to look at what the market is pricing in rather than, speculation on what could happen. And I think when you look at what the market is pricing in Fed Fund futures, it's almost 0.75 of a percentage point. So we've heard a couple Fed speakers today or yesterday talking about whether it's 50 or 75. Well, it's nice to see that the market is already pricing in 0.75 of a percentage point. And then when you look at the November meeting, right, we're already pricing in 25 basis points. So it kind of helps put things in a little bit more perspective when you know what the market is pricing in. And I think that, I think it's pretty good that there's not low expectations. There's actually, pretty high expectations in terms of rate hikes.
Yeah, and that echoes what a lot of experts have been saying this week, that they expect Powell to be a little bit more on the hawkish side so that there's no room for interpretation of some sort of pivot, and that 75 bips in September would certainly support that. And then we also have the PCE read. I believe it's tomorrow. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's also it seems like it's getting overshadowed by the speech, but I think really important tomorrow is because that may actually drive what Powell says is what inflation is going to do. Right, the last read that we got was the CPI, which was good, but we need to see follow through, and I think that's exactly what Powell wants to see too. Is the expectations are 0.0 for tomorrow's PCE deflator number gauge of inflation, so that's really going to be the telltale, I think, for tomorrow.
Zero inflation, that's on a month-over-month basis. That's the first time we'll have seen that in a little while, although I guess on that CPI we did have a little bit of a decline on a month-over-month basis. Christian, where we're not seeing inflation today, commodities down.
Yeah, today is kind of interesting because there's a big move in bonds, right? Yields have been going higher on the long end of the curve for the last month, for the last couple of weeks, but we're actually seeing a little bit of a reversion. And again, kind of watching what the commodity move has been, we've seen commodities, peak out, but they're actually, since they've declined, they've actually been edging back up. And when you look at some of the plays that are going on, the coal plays, in the energy space, the refiners, in the materials space, the ag space has been absolutely on fire, along with the lithium plays too. So there's a lot of strength going on, maybe not just in growth names, but also what we're seeing in material and value commodity type plays.
Well, there's a fair amount of strength today for the chips. That stock's up more than 2%, and it's interesting because, of course, NVIDIA, not a great quarter. The pre-announced, not a great guide, but the stock is higher, helping this space. You like Global Foundries as a select name, certain select semiconductor names to play.
I do, and I think, the semiconductors are really nice because they kind of fit in the middle between growth and value. So I really like the strength that's going on in some of these smaller names. Global Foundries is had a nice bull flag after its strong earnings report, which I really like sticking to some of these names that have had really good earnings. I think they could be potential leaders for the months to go. And I like the GFS ticker symbol for Global Foundries. January 70 calls for $7, which also gets you through September, which could be a little bit of a weaker seasonal period.
Trading the technicals and the fundamentals together. I like it. Christian Fromhertz, CEO of Tribeca Trade Group. Thanks for joining us, as always, for Options Insight today. And from New York, this is Bloomberg.